Ali here at mindwavemeditation.com, and today we're going to talk about the law of attraction. Shh! Don't wake up the skeptics. The collective eye roll. Look, the law of attraction is something that's baffled many people, and for, especially since like the mid and late 90s. But I want to share my story, which is less about the law of attraction per se, and more about just what happened. That's how I look at it. It's just what happened in my life. And then when I looked into the law of attraction stuff, I was like, that's interesting. That's kind of my stance on this sort of stuff. I don't try and convince you of the law of attraction, but I do want to share about all these amazing coincidences that happened and how they might work for you too. See you on the other side. All right, so I'm just gonna jump straight in there, because where else do you jump in when you're talking about the law of attraction? You're into this stuff or you're not, and I get it. And I'm not, I'm not so naive to think that everybody should think like this. Everybody should understand this sort of stuff, because unless you've experienced it, it's just a load of BS. It's just a load of bollocks. And I get it, because of course it is. Of course it's a load of BS. If you don't believe in this kind of stuff, then it's crazy talk. And I get it, and that's why I get on really well with atheists and skeptics and people that think the stuff that I share on here is maybe a load of crap. Because I truly believe that if you believe that it's BS, then that's what you'll experience. Now, I'm no scientist, evidently, but quantum physics explains that to be true. What we consciously choose to allow and what we consciously choose to believe is what we receive, really. So therefore, when someone doesn't believe in this kind of stuff, they're not wrong. And that's where a lot of us go wrong, because we're on this mission to convince people to listen to what we say and to believe what we believe. Don't do that. Don't do that. Allow everyone to be who they're going to be. Allow everybody to be into whatever they're into. And the thing that you're into, do it and enjoy it and love it. And if you want, put it out there like this. But stop trying to convince people to listen to you and to change their opinion. Be the change you want to see in the world, as that guy famously said. And look, this is just my opinion. You don't have to agree with this either. And power to you if you don't. So when we're talking about something like the law of attraction, if you don't believe it, you've already turned this off. But if you're interested in it, it's certainly an interesting thing to get into. So, well, let's just do that. Okay, so growing up, my biological dad lived all over the world, and he's been chanting Nam-myoho Renge Kyo, Nam-myoho Renge Kyo, Nam-myoho Renge Kyo for like 45, 50 years. To some people that's a load of hogwash as well. But I saw miraculous things happen around this man. And I was convinced from a very early age, and this could just be my conditioning, Very diplomatic like that. I think it's healthy to, I truly believe in all this stuff, evidently. Look at me. Look at this face. I am well into all this sort of stuff. I wouldn't be doing this stuff if I wasn't, but it's so much healthier and more enjoyable, I think, to say it as if it's my truth, but I'm not saying it's true. It's just what is for me, and that's the experience that I'm having. Really, really feel strongly about that. So look, all these things happen to these miraculous stories happen to this guy and still continue to do so. And he used to say, what an amazing coincidence. And it was his way of saying, you know, but like just these and we'll get into that. I'll interview him. We'll have an interview later. And I think naturally growing up, and you know, when we'd meet up and he'll share these stories, you know, I believe that to be true. I saw these things happen to him, which was so, you know, so big, such crazy, ridiculous stories that some of my friends would never believe them. So some of the stories he told me, I didn't even tell my friends because it just sounded so ridiculously unreal. Anyway, moving on, in my like 20s, these things happen to me constantly. And I mean, I'll break it down. Small things like I'd be the second in a queue, and I'd be like, or the first in a queue. I get there for whatever, like a bank, a kiosk, a line, anything. And time again, I'd look around, and within minutes, it was packed. It still happens to this day, and I always go, if I got here 3 minutes later, I'd be all the way over there, and that's at least 20 minutes or whatever. I watched this happen to him over and over and over again. And these little things, maybe I saw that and I believed that, and just, I don't know. You know, we'll get into all the kind of sciencey stuff of this later. But I witnessed this. It happened, and it's just not like a coincidence, because it happened time and time again. And you know, lots of other things don't happen time and time again. So I started kind of just getting into this groove of feeling lucky. And you know, I wasn't particularly lucky in like financially or success or anything really. I just in terms of just being in the groove of life, I very much felt plugged in. Now, I was kind of almost like a spiritual atheist growing up. I wasn't into anything. I was very against religion. No offense to any religious people. I now absolutely, I love you all dearly. But when I was growing up, I was just, you know, I didn't understand all these things and all these wars and all these people fighting against each other. And I just found the whole thing a bit much, and I didn't get it. I call it the universe. You know, you can have your God, Allah, Buddha. You know, I do my chanting. I do my internal praying, external praying. I love it all. It all serves me on many different levels, and that's lots of different other conversations that we can have. But growing up, none of that was there, and I was very much just like, I feel there's a flow in life, and I feel like you can either be in it or not in it. That's about as far as I got. And I was in it. There was a point when I was really in this flow. And on reflection, it's because I had very little responsibilities. I worked in maybe a cleaner. I worked in a bar. You know, I was just drunk mainly. And yeah, I mean, I was drunk. I was drunk for a long time, daily. So I was in a flow, essentially, an inebriated flow. And I can't help but realize and reflect that this is when I was actually manifesting probably the most. And look, I'm not saying just go get drunk and you manifest all these things. But I'm only just realizing now that it's because I was relaxed and I wasn't in a state of need or want. I was just living, I was free. I was in that time in your 20s when you're just kind of going with the flow. I had a lot of internal stuff I was going through, but the one thing that was working for me, the one thing that was guiding me to get to here and to do this, was these manifestations that I was seemingly pulling out of thin air, which was blowing my mind, constantly blowing my mind. And this was the only thing that kept me tuned to my path, because I didn't know what my path was. I didn't know what my vision was. I didn't know where any of this was going. I was deeply depressed. I was deeply anxious. I was, I'm not going to keep banging on about all that stuff, but it wasn't a good time. But then I'd manifest constantly, all these things. And it was so mind-blowing that it proved to me that there's something else. There's something that I needed. There was something. That's as far as I got. I knew that I couldn't intellectualize it, because back then I couldn't articulate my words. I couldn't articulate my thoughts. And these miraculous things just kept on happening. And this is why I turned out the way I did, because I experienced these things. So I just wanted to share with you some of these experiences. So this would happen so much that I used to start saying, I'm gonna order it from the cosmos. And this is around the time when The Secret came out. And when The Secret came out, I was like, that's the thing. That explains what I've been doing. But The Secret got a lot of crap back then, because it basically said, think of what you want and you get what you want. And then people would just go, that's a load of bollocks, or I've been doing it. That's what your two schools of thought. So I don't know how it worked. I just knew that sometimes I would think about what I wanted and it would happen. But it would happen so precisely, or exactly the right moment, that it was beyond coincidence, just beyond coincidence. So I'm going to share with a couple of these. So I was ordering from the cosmos, to the point where my friends were saying, why don't you order it from the cosmos? They would joke, they were taking the mick out of me, because they didn't understand it, but they knew that I was either ridiculously lucky or something else was going on there. And I kind of feel that with the whole luck thing, I feel if you wake up in the morning and you decide that you are lucky, or you are in flow, or everything is going right, then when we break it down, we are energy. We're energy in flow, and everything is energy. There's no difference between me, you, this phone, your computer, your phone. It's all energy. And this is hard to get our head around, but it's true. We are vibrating at different frequencies, but everything is energy and matter, and it's all flowing. And really what we're doing is we're just shifting energy, and everything already exists, but we can pull it into manifestation and pull it into reality. Yeah, we'll talk about this in another video, but I just want to share a few. So the first one was when I was put on the spot. The first one I remember anyway, when this stuff was just happening. I was getting the things were happening. And we had a tour in my old band, and I had this big amp, and it blew up at band practice. And everyone was pissed. Everyone looked at me like, what are you gonna do? It wasn't like, your amp, oh no, so sorry, it's a £500 amp, none of us have got any money. It was, what are you gonna do? Like, we've got a tour, And I was just like, And what happened was, every time something bad happened or I needed something, I'd have the initial, oh my God, logically, what am I going to do? And then it quickly dissolved into, oh yeah, it's okay. Think about what you need. Think about what you want, what you desire, and let it go. And this is something that took me a long time to figure out the formula, but this is the formula. Decide what you want, what you need. Do everything you can to make that happen, but let the outcome go. But ultimately, the secret formula is to absolutely believe you already have what you're intending to receive and live from that end, live from that point. And at this moment, my amp had blown up, but I envisioned having a brand new amp. I didn't have any money, didn't know how it was going to go, couldn't borrow any money. I knew it was all fine. And I remember even in that band practice going, oh, it's all right, I'll ask the Cosmos. And I remember the drummer going, oh yeah, here we go. I don't think it was more than 4 or 5 days later that I got asked to do a job, and it was a photo shoot. And it was for the exact amount that the amp would cost. And I didn't want to do the photo shoot, but something had presented itself, and I'd get the money and I could get the amp just in time for the tour days. So I did it, said yes. So saying yes to that action is what helps bring, let's talk about in normal terms. A job came up, it's for the same amount, you do it because that's how you get the stuff. But it was the exact amount that I needed. So it's a bit more miraculous. And it's fun to play with this sort of stuff anyway. And as soon as I said yes to that, my friend in the band, his brother was selling the model of my amp, but the better version for that amount. And I said, yeah, all right. And then by the next band practice, I'd done the job, got the money, paid the guy, got the amp, and brought the brand new amp to band practice, which was an upgraded version of the one that blew up. And I remember the band like, how do you do that? That's the Cosmos, didn't I? And look, around the same time, me and my friend used to talk about skating. We used to rollerblade. I know it's not as cool as skateboarding, don't get me wrong, I'm very well aware, but it's what we did and we were pretty good at it as well, so it made it a little bit cooler. We could do tricks and like 540 spins downstairs and stuff, so a little bit of street cred. We used to do that when we were like 14, and at this point we're like mid-20s, and we used to talk, do you remember when we used to do that? So we looked at price of skates and they were like £200, and we were like, we can't do that. We can't spend £200 on skates. We're nearly grown men. So we let go of that idea, but I couldn't shake the idea of being free to rollerblade in the streets and just have that feeling of being young again and free. And I was thinking about it constantly, over and over and over and over and over again. That feeling of being free, visualizing it in my mind when I was going to sleep. Not, I want a pair of skates, I want this, and just like imagining, just enjoying the feeling of the streets that I'd go around. I lived in this kind of like concrete block of houses, and I just imagine whizzing around. And then I'm walking down the street, and I see a box about 30 feet away, and visibly I can see a pair of skates in that box. Now bear in mind, I've not seen a pair of skates in 10 years at this point. I can see a tennis racket as I get a bit closer, and as I get closer and closer, I know what's happening. These are my skates. As I get closer and closer, there's a big sign that says free. And someone's moving out, whatever, getting rid of some stuff. I looked at my wife, then girlfriend, and she looked at me just like that. And I said, they're my size, don't you? And she went. I went over, picked them up. They were the same skates that my friend had when we were younger. And I put them on, perfect fit. I skated home, put them in the house, came back and carried on the walk. And it's funny that the details, when you look into this stuff, is mind-blowing. When I'm visualizing skating, I'm not looking down at my feet. I'm seeing my friend skating, and I'm seeing his skates. the ones that he wore. And we're skating along, jumping at the ramps. I never thought about my skates. I never looked down at my feet. I was always looking at the road, seeing him and other friends. And then I get his skates. I hear a story like this years later, that a woman wanted this Beetle car, or this Volkswagen something or other, and it was pink. And she's imagining looking out of a window and seeing this pink VW. VW? Is that how you say it? VW? VW? VW. And every day she opens the window in her mind and she looks out, she sees the perfect car, and she's like, yes, this is my car. I can imagine this is my car. And then in real life, one day she does look out of the window and she sees that car, and it's there. And she's like, oh my God. And then the neighbor gets in that car and drives away. And this was an actual real case. This was an actual story. Her neighbor had actually bought the car that she was visualizing. I mean, this stuff gets pretty mind-bending when you get into this stuff and start practicing it and witnessing it. And the moral of that is, if you are doing this stuff and you are visualizing, imagine being behind the wheel of that car and feeling it, using all of your senses and driving the car and seeing what you would see. This woman basically manifested, if we're going down this path, the dream car, but didn't remember to put herself in it. So she got the car out of the window where she imagined it, but it's not hers. So if you're gonna do it, you gotta do it right. So anyway, I got these skates. I skated over to my friend's house 10 years after we were skating, knocked on his door. This is the drummer in my band, by the way. And he just opened the door, looked down at my skates and shut the door. He was like, I don't even want to know. I don't even want to know how that happened. But this would just go on and on and on. My favorite of all time. All right, two more. You don't have to listen to this, by the way. It's just, I just want to get these out just to inspire you to how this can happen. And it's not just because I was lucky. Nothing ever happens to me. Don't think like that. Start practicing this stuff. Visualize what you do want. Get out of the way. Don't try and need it. Just select it. Demand it almost. This is in my life. And look, if it doesn't work, keep going. Just keep going and keep going. And if you think it's BS, don't do it. But if you think there's something to it and it's happened to you before, then try and harness it. Try and harness that magic formula. And we'll talk about the formula again at the end. But this really works because it's happened to me so many times. And it's not just random stuff like you find a fiver. Oh, talking find fivers, I once found, and this is not one word of a lie, in the space of 10 days, because you put 10 days in a box like that, I found 5 separate £5 notes in 10 days, and 4 of those were in 1 week. And just randomly on the floor. It's not like I live in where people are just throwing money around. I found 1 fiver, and the feeling of finding that was instilled in my mind of the rush of, I found so much money on the floor, so much. £10, £60, this, that, nowhere to go, can't give it to anyone, it's just there. And it's like, nice one. And I mean, to be fair, I was spending a lot of the time looking at the floor because I was poor, and knowing that I was going to find some money. So, is it magic, or am I just literally walking around the streets finding your money that you've dropped? So anyway, I'm in my old place. My landlord's saying, if you're late again on your rent, you're out of here. I need £330, £350 in the bank account at 4 o'clock, or you're gone. I'm feeling good because I've got it, I've already got it, I've got the stash of cash. I've sat there at my desk counting the money, and it's about 4:15, 22 or 4:15, and I realise I'm £10 short, and this rush of dread goes through my body. I count it again. I'm £10 short. I would have just spent it. I would have spent it and forgotten about it. I don't have any credit on my phone. My housemate's in, but he hasn't got any money. I run through it like I've got 20 minutes to solve this problem. Then my mind goes to, oh my God, he's gonna chuck me out of the place. So I go through this and I hit a rock bottom. So I go and sit on my bed, and I was all out of options, and I felt like I'd cleared, like I was out, it was over. So there was no more need at that point. It was just like, you messed up. And it was like a numb feeling of like a white noise. And at that point, and this has only happened a couple of times in my life, I heard a voice, I hope, and it said, go to the window. And I went, did I just hear a voice? And it didn't repeat itself. So I got up and I went to the window. I looked out the window, feeling like a crazy person. And at that point, and I feel insane telling you this, but I saw clearly a £10 note floating down the street. It's because there was a bit of a wind, and it was just floating down the street directly outside my window. I was on the other side of my room, and a voice came in, told me to go. So I ran downstairs, opened the door, screaming like oh my God, and stamped on the thing, like you do if there's a £10 note blown away. Picked it up and felt it, and I just couldn't believe it. And I ran back in the house, and my housemate was like, what's going on? I was like, I gotta go, I'll tell you, I just found a tenner. And he was like, that's amazing, but you seem way more way more insane for just finding a tenner. And that trip to the bank changed me. Alright, to be fair, I was a little bit worried that I was starting to go insane. But if insanity meant that I was going to be finding money in the street on a regular basis, then I'll take that chance. But it changed me. Skates, the trust in knowing that the amp was going to come, the money, the £10 that saved me from living. I mean, that place was an absolute nightmare, but it's what I needed right then. And all the other little things that happened. I was convinced that there was more to what we see, touch, smell, hear, think, believe. And then one more thing happened, if you can stick around for a little longer. I was kind of digging the skates, and I realised I always wanted a BMX. Never had a BMX. I only had one friend when I was growing up that had a BMX. That was my only visual of it. It had this like bottle green almost, like mongoose villain with the stunt pegs. And I was like, that's way cooler than skating. This was a few years later, and I started thinking about this bike all the time. And I think I knew what was happening. I was like, I'm gonna get myself a BMX. I didn't start looking to buy one. I just knew that I was gonna have a BMX. So I started imagining this BMX. And on the way to work, I started looking at the pavements, going, oh yeah, that'd be a good little hop, yeah, that'd be a good little jump. Long story short, a friend of mine comes into the bar that I was working in and said, you might know. Do you know anyone that wants a BMX? I said, yeah, I want a BMX. He went, oh yeah. Well, I've got a BMX. I went, oh yeah. Is it a green BMX? And he said, yeah. How do you know? I said, don't know. Just know. And he went, all right. Do you want it? I went, yeah. I said, how much do you want for it? He goes, no, you can have it. I want it to go to a good home. He goes, I'm too old for a BMX now. I went, great, I'll take it. He brought that BMX in to work the next day. I was working maybe 2 o'clock in the morning. I'm riding home on this BMX. It's the same bike that my friend had when I was younger. The exact same bike, like same model, same color, same everything. I'm riding it home. Admittedly, a little inebriated still. I was still working through all that stuff. And I get home, and it dawns on me that I live in a flat, and there's no room for this BMX. And it was also baffling that I hadn't thought about this. What am I going to do with this BMX? What am I going to tell the wife? Where am I going to put it? Small flat, no room for this BMX. And I pull up to the block of flats, and I see the caretaker. And I say, hey, what are you doing? And he goes, oh, I just had a job. And I said, but it's like 2 in the morning. He goes, yeah, I know, I got called out. A woman, it's a whole thing, a woman with the key in the shed. Bear in mind, I've never seen this guy at night time, not once, living in this place. So it was a complete anomaly seeing him at 2 in the morning. It was, And he goes, how you doing? Yeah, I'm all right. I've just got this bike. And he goes, oh yeah, well, I'm just sorting out the bike shed. And I said, what? What bike shed? And he said, the bike shed. I'd lived in this building for not too long, but long enough to know that there wasn't a bike shed. Walked in the building, and on the right, there was a blue door. I'd just always seen it as this blue door, no window or anything. I never thought about it. He was coming out of this door, and apparently it was a bike shed that I'd never seen, but just so happened to see the day that I get this bike and now needed a home for the bike. I said, can I put this bike in that bike shed? And he goes, you wish, mate. There's a waiting list for this. It's, I've got to come and clear out this thing for this woman. She needs to go in the morning. And I was just listening to him do this, and I went in there, and this bike's really small, it's a BMX. And I said, I reckon I can just slide that under there, under the racks. Nobody will know, nobody will be bothered. Because he likes me, smiley guy. He goes, all right, I'll do you a deal. If you get a key through your door tomorrow morning, when I'm back, you can have it. If not, no can do. And I went, all right. So I took the bike on my shoulder, and I went upstairs. And as I shut the door that night, I knew clear as day that when I woke up, there was going to be a key. Just knew it. It wasn't a hope. It wasn't a desire. It was a knowing. It was a knowing. And I woke up that next morning to the sound of a key hitting my floor. And what I learned from all this is when you are in a state of knowing, it trumps hope, praying for something external. If you do pray, by the way, don't pray to your God or the universe to give you the thing that you desire. The thing that you desire already exists. It's already possible. Accept it. Be in a state of I am grateful for already having accepted and allowing that which I desire. Neville Goddard, a great mystic and speaker, has a book called Feeling is the Secret. And although coming from quite a religious standpoint, the message, not that that's a negative, but for people that aren't so religious, it can be a bit of a turn-off. The main bit from the book is to go from the end result, no matter what it is that you are trying to manifest or achieve, embody it, completely embody it. So you act as though you have what you desire. Fake it till you make it. Don't even fake it, just make it. Be it, live it, no matter what it is in your life that you desire. No matter what, if it's a physical thing, if it's something you want to dissolve within you, externally, anything, try this. Completely brainwash yourself to have it. Obviously, don't start talking like you've got it. People think you are crazy, and you've got to be obviously sensible in that respect. But in a fun sense, do it. Absolutely live and breathe what you desire, and just see. And keep showing up, keep showing up. For me, I went through all these bands growing up, and I never really had the position in the band that I wanted because I didn't know who I was. I was like the backing guitarist or the backing singer or the lead guitarist in the wrong band for the wrong style, or it was never quite right. And then when I stopped trying to get that, trying to make the bands work, trying to get the right place, I surrendered to the great something, what is the universe, or not even the universe, just surrendered and said, I ain't gonna stop being a musician, but I'm gonna stop trying to make it work. And at that moment, my old band broke up, and I was like, no! And a new band formed where I get to be in the perfect position of being a front man. I get to play guitar if I want. We get to play any kind of musical genre we want because we're all into that stuff. It's a 3-piece. It's with my 3 best friends. It's the most harmonious band I've ever been in. And it's beautiful, and we're all just in sync, and it's harmonious, and it's just, I never even knew that was possible. So stop trying to get what you want, embody it, believe to already have what you want, and then do as many things that clean your channels. So meditation, balance those chakras, clean those chakras, self-healing, yoga, running, swimming, qigong, tai chi, karate, any of these things that tune you into being present, being in the now, just being, anything like that. Do it as often as possible. And enjoy the process, and enjoy manifesting all that you desire in the right time that it's meant to come in. And when it does come in, be really, really grateful. And be grateful that you are a powerful being and that you can do these things. And it is a reality. And anyone that thinks it's BS, that's cool too. Don't try and convince them otherwise. Just keep being the example. The right people will come to you. The right people will go. The right things will come to you. The right things will go. Life is always in a constant state of change, always flowing. Even the thoughts, they don't belong to us, they're just flowing through. So enjoy your day, enjoy your manifestations, put your stories below, share them. I think that's enough, don't you? That's enough babbles. All right, peace.